everyone. Welcome back to the Pushing Horizon podcast. I am your host Ash, and this is a very special episode. It's not about distance or medals. It's about how we run, why we run, and what we see in each other as runners and humans. And back with me are my favorite people. They're super cool, and I think you have heard them before. Bobby, who's nearly on the 701 days of streaking, and then Val, she's a powerhouse mom who knows the value of slowing down to go further. Welcome back to the show. It's gonna be
Thank
Looking forward
you.
to it.
yes, it's not about distance or medal. We're gonna go deep today. So the first question is deep too. How would you describe your running style? Not in terms of pace or technique, but your energy. Are you the storm, the steady wind, or the wanderer?
Would you like to go first? Or I'll go first.
You
Well, I guess I'm the streaker of the group. I think the reason I would probably use that word is number one, it's something that happens every day for a really long time. But I also just feel like just the effort and the approach to running, again, not thinking about pace, feels the same, even if it's not. Most runs are easy effort, nothing too crazy. Constant is a good word to describe that for me. I don't look much at my watch. Even in races, I go on feel. Constant is my word.
So I guess that's my turn. I would say sporadic. I always intend to run, like Bobby said, constant, but I get a little distracted with the world around me. And then also I get tired. And so, if there's like this pretty flower, like a random thing to look at or take a picture of, then, I don't really care about pace, especially on chill runs. It's nice to get that feeling, the endorphins, the runner's high. I appreciate being able to get out, enjoy nature, be in my body, aware of what's going on. My mind kind of wanders, sporadic yet focused.
Do you think the way you run matches your personality?
I don't know, maybe you could ask my husband. I have a lot of really great ideas. I'm not always good at implementing those ideas. So it's good for me to be around people that actually do things because I'm like a lot of talk, but I'll hype you up for like whatever you want to do. So like Ash, you should do so many podcasts. Bobby, I'm pretty sure you could run every day for the rest of your life.
Crossed.
Same.
That's the plan. I would say I try
Yeah.
to be consistent, I guess, in lots of things in life. Try to work with my wife, being a teammate of, the home front and carry over to work. And so, yeah, I would work. That word applies in the non-running world for me as well.
Since you guys run a lot and it's been a long time, has there been a change in your style over time or evolved?
You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. For me, definitely. I feel like there always kind of has been a continuous, I don't know, I've always been me, the same kind of vibe. But I started out really despising running. This is the worst. I'm going to do it because I need to do something, and running is the best bang for your buck. If you go out, I figured out if you run really, really, really slow, then it doesn't suck quite as bad, but then you're out there for a long time. And so that was kind of how I started, really slow, consistent, just like that smile pace. But then I feel like as I've gotten more into running, I actually do appreciate the different runs that you can do, whether a threshold or a tempo run, track, or a slow, easy run. If you're just out on the trails, enjoy yourself, run fast on the downhills, enjoy the flowers and everything around, look around, enjoy yourself. There's so much more to it than just going for a run. And there's so many things that you can do that like you can fall in love with. If you go out there and you're, you know what, I hate running slow, then run fast, do whatever you want. The more that I learn and understand and the more things I've tried in running, the more I realize when you say I'm going to go for a run, what does that mean?
I've been running for a long time. I started in middle school and sports in high school. I tended to play sports that were obviously running heavy. Like I did some cross country in high school. I did tennis. So tennis practice was like a mile or two run to start before you even started hitting balls. My effort level has changed over the years, maybe because I'm older, but I would say I'll just look at the last decade or so. I've done a lot more lower runs on purpose rather than just like everything's not always a sprint. I guess that's a good metaphor for life, is as well. I think it's important if you run a lot during the week. You can't go 100% every time or you're going to burn out. Maybe some people can, but I don't think that I'm that person. So just being comfortable, whatever it is you have for that day. And there's 1,000 factors that go into play impacting that. What's the block of time that you have? What are your obligations? How was your sleep the night before? How's your level of stress? All of that stuff really factors into things. And one piece of advice I'd probably give people is don't be a number on your watch or whatever you're tracking. Just be happy that you got the opportunity to run. Over time, I've gotten a lot more comfortable. I don't care what my pace says anymore. Obviously, if you're in a race, that's the difference. But by and large, I bet you're not going on my Strava and looking, oh man, look at mile 3. He really slowed down there. And after a day or two, you're probably not even looking at your own information that much. So don't put so much stress on yourself to hit a certain mark. You can't be perfect all the time, but you can show up, give your best, and keep the momentum. One of the really cool things about running is over time, you see the progression in yourself, both in your outcomes, but also I think in your perspective. And I think that's where the value is.
The social media is so addictive because we compare, and I mean, it's human nature, right? We go in and usually people only put things that's nicer. Nobody likes to put on things they struggle with, anything that happens. And similar with us runner, we see people sub 3 is a probably very much standard these days. And everybody is putting sub 3 now. They want to run, they want to go Boston, they want to do so many things. So do you think that the pace has gone so addictive because if you don't run fast enough, then you don't qualify as a runner, and people don't even take you as a runner? But I think the days where we would run, it may not apply for everybody else, but there is a time where we used to enjoy it. It goes for me too because I used to love running. The more I started running marathons, the faster I wanted to get. When you fail, it sucks. Do you think like this persona over the social media thing where like you have to run fast and that's the way to go, it is kind of flouting everything else?
It's easy and unfortunate that people get caught up in that comparison game. We've all had those instances where you think you should be better, could be better, whatever the situation is. And social media, we often see what people are posting, but that's like that cultivated garden that people are sharing with others. Not everyone is really comfortable with showing the struggles, talking about their shortcomings. It's really hard for people to understand that's not reality, and you're not seeing all the stuff going on in their lives that may not be perfect. I think it's great everyone is having their success, but others' success is not defining my life, and that's beyond running. I like reading quotes where it's about running, but it's not about running, and I think that's really a great perspective. I know a lot of stuff that I do related to running impacts my family. I like those lessons, like for my kids in particular. I like to see, yeah, dad goes for a run every day. Dad does whatever. I remind them, if someone says, wow, your dad's really fast. I'm faster, slightly above average, but I think for a lot of people, you're seeing the product of decades of running, training, and all the stuff, whatever it is, whether you're playing saxophone or an artist. You probably weren't great at the beginning. Don't be discouraged if you see someone else having success. And there's always going to be those freaks that can just pick up an instrument and play beautiful out of it or do whatever, but that's not the norm. Don't lose sight of the work that went into for that person to get to that level, and don't let that discourage you. If you are just starting out and walking is a big part of your routine, that's great. You're moving. No one's looking at your data, and they shouldn't be judging you. If they are, they're probably not the people you should hang around with. One of the things I love most about the running community is everyone is super supportive. I post things not for kudos, but just to put out there. It's good for me to stay accountable to myself and just share with other people that common interest and common activity. And I think overall, that's what I've loved about social media, and connecting with you all is a great example.
Something that I tell my kids all the time: what somebody else does or doesn't do has nothing to do with you. I love, in some ways, running, and something that helps me, because I am not one of those people where I started running and suddenly I was like qualifying for Boston or something. And who knows, that's not necessarily my goal, but I do have goals to continue and see what happens. And I train and I work hard. But one thing that I really love about running is that a mile is a mile, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how fast you go or how slow or how you get there. Like whether you're run walking or you're stopping to take a picture of a ladybug or whatever that is, a mile is a mile. I think the cool thing about running is it's all about effort. It's interesting to look at stats and realize, oh, I was running a 5-hour marathon or whatever it is, and this person's running a 3-hour marathon, but our heart rate is the same. And so in some ways, it's like running is, I feel like with a lot of things in life, it's okay to realize where you are, be okay with that. And like what Bobby said, you don't like other people's successes don't need to mean your failure. And I love what Bobby said too, getting on there and seeing what other people are doing and accountable for my own self and feeling that energy of other like-minded individuals. And the amazing thing is I feel like mostly, I guess I curate my followers a little bit, but it's a really positive place. There are some people that are just so fast and athletic and amazing, doing so many things, but they will go on a post for me and be like, wow, that's so amazing. I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. And I think that's a really cool and amazing space that we all have kind of, including you in this podcast, like created this space, this beautiful space on the internet that we can build and uplift each other. And I know for absolutely true, creating this account, social media sometimes is like, and I'm sure I, should probably be spending my time doing other things a little bit more sometimes. But I do know for a fact that because I created this account, I have done so much more than I would have on my own. There's definitely a give and take. Remembering that other people can be successful doesn't mean anything for us.
And I think we'll talk about something we don't say enough. We have known each other for a while, right? What's one thing you admire in each other as a runner or as a people?
Start. Go for it. Go, lady
I
first.
can go first. Well, I think that with Bobby, I am amazed with his consistency and his dedication to his family. And I know that with my husband, it is not easy. And for husbands and wives and people with children and, just life and work and everything, it's not easy to be able to get that right balance of, okay, I want to be a good example for my kids. I want to take care of myself physically, emotionally, mentally, but I also want to make sure that I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to. And at least from an outside perspective, it seems he's really doing good at that. And that is a really amazing thing. And then also just the calm, consistent positivity. And it's cool.
Thank you. I would have to say,
You're
a big
welcome.
part of me being able to do what I do is because of my wife. She's an awesome teammate, allowing me to prioritize getting in a run. You definitely need someone invested to be like, no, you got to go get your run if it's 10:30 p.m. Get out there, run around the block, and get it done. What I appreciate about Val is her positive energy. Anyone who goes to her Instagram will be drawn into the energy you exude and your diversity of activity. I'm just the lazy runner who runs every day, but that's all I do. I don't lift. I have a bike. It's pretty dusty. I did I did 2 indoor triathlons because I want to do open water swimming. So I did that. But I mean, overall, I don't have that diversity in what you do. I've really admired where you live to have the outdoor scenery you have each day. So I like it, but I kind of don't. I'm just kidding.
It's okay. It can be a love-hate. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that.
It's nice. I lived there earlier on and it's beautiful. No snow, not too much heat. The perfect weather. It's just like paradise.
I wonder if I run so much because of where I get to run. If I had to be running on the snow, it'd be pretty tough.
It is fun.
It's good and bad. And I do agree with what you said about each other. For me, when I look at Bobby, it was more about consistency and a family man and how he balances everything, like doing his PhD and then working and then he used to be coaching his kids. That takes a lot of balance. And like he said, wife helps with everything and what kind of person you are. I admire you for that. And for Val, the positivity, it's just infectious, It's just the more you get in, we laugh at each other in all DM, we're just talking all the time. It's not the way she does everything, strengthening, spreading positivity and so. Yeah, I'm glad to have both of you and get to hang out here and to talk. talk about things. So it's
Yeah.
really nice. And thank you for that. Thank you for making it
Thanks for
possible.
willing to listen to me again.
I think it's great when you listen to somebody else. Before talking to you on the podcast, I probably wouldn't have known a lot more about you. So after listening to you and then everything what you shared, it's just like, oh yeah, so nice. Same with Val too. She was the first one I did this with, and then I learned a lot about her. The next topic is going to be in the same thing. Have you ever learned from watching or listening to each other's approaches to running our life?
Have I learned from Val? Is that the question?
Yes,
Yeah, can
pretty
you
much
repeat
all.
it?
Yes.
I was distracted by something.
Have you ever learned from watching or listening to each other's approaches to running
Yeah,
our
I mean,
life?
yeah, I definitely think,
Both you two,
yeah,
right?
before we had this opportunity today, I went back and listened to Val's original episode 1 of the podcast. I took a lot of mental notes, your perspective, and again, as I mentioned earlier, your diversity is, I think, something that I can learn from. And even if I'm not going to go to the gym because I don't like going there, I could do different things running wise. It's very easy for me to just not want to do, the threshold runs or the interval runs and just be like, I run every day. I'll do a recovery run or I'll do a base pace run. I can get that on the next one. But recognizing the importance of diversity and doing different things and how that adds value is important. So that's something I've taken from you. And also your use of the environment, doing trail runs benefits your foot and nerve issues. Yeah, that's a perspective to keep in mind. Again, I fully admit that I'm a lazy runner, so it's open my front door and run outside. But there are some great trails in the area. At least having the willingness to drive 10 minutes over to the park over there and something a little bit different. And so I think having that openness is something I've adopted.
Thank you. One thing I've learned from Bobby is that it's totally okay to just go for a run. There's value in, like, sometimes I get so into it of, okay, this is what I'm going to do and hype myself up. But how many times have I just gone out for a quick, like a 5 or 10K? And it's just like, in some ways, those are some of the best runs. And you don't really look at your watch. You just turn on some music or a podcast. That is the best feeling. When you go out from your front door, go on the route you love, turn on music, and you just go. And so I think in that, because Bobby is running every single day, that probably keeps the joy in some ways. And there's something also about, I am kind of a sporadic person, but I also am such a creature of routine, and I could do the same thing every day. It's funny because my husband's like, do you like variety? Don't you want? And I'm like, no, I like to ride my bike this exact same way every time. And I stop at the same spot, and I would eat the same breakfast every single day of my entire life. And I like that. It's like a warm hug, not having to think about that. A lot of runners maybe understand that. And I think that's something I've learned from Bobby. Just go and do it and enjoy what you can with the time you have. There's a lot of value in that in terms of running and life. Like, I think people are happier when they're that way. But also, I've learned from you, Ash, that I really appreciate your consistency and excitement with the things you're into. I can get really excited, but I'm not always the best at like following through or continuing on. But I feel like you are the kind of person that gets excited about something and then you're like, gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it the best that I can. It shows. And so I think that's
And
really
I
cool.
will add on what I like about Ash is your attention to details really, really like impressive. And when you do your updates of the workout or whatever, the amount of information you have is impressive. I have one friend who likes to nerd out about running data, so I'll share that with her. It's fun to see someone else's perspective. The detail you put out into your post, I think, are really impressive, very honest, and definitely appreciate that.
Thank you for that. Things happened in my life and I had to embrace changes. I learned we just have one life, and now if there is something I want to do, then I'm just gonna do it. If I succeed or fail, that's a different story, but I'm gonna give my best because sometimes we don't have control over what happens. So we just have to try and do our best. For both of you, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. When I listen to and watch your post, Val gives her update every day, every morning, talks what she did, what happens, and those. Then it's nice to hear, and it has become a part of my life now. When I wake up, I know that I can hear from her, and it's like what happened. It's interesting, and oh yeah, okay, I can feel. And you, Bobby, you always post something like, okay, keep going on, and I like how perseverance you are. You just go. I like it that because for me sometimes it's really hard where I've just been lazy and I don't want to do anything. I see a post and it's just like, wow, you guys guys are amazing. I learned that you guys have so many qualities that I'm jealous of. Can you share a moment where it was really hard, but then you ran and it kind of helped you process through it or move through it?
Yeah,
Go
I think
first.
I'll talk about the run streak. This is not my longest run streak. My first was during the COVID pandemic. We were sent home, everyone in the world, I guess. And so I thought, I'm going to run every day till I go back into the office. And so that was 745 days is what that one ended up going to. And I think we've talked about how like running changes you. It became part of my routine. And I was long back at work, but I was still running every day. Welcomed a second child to the family. And my wife was scheduled for a cesarean section. So we kind of knew when it was happening, and that makes fitting in, like a run a little bit easier. But I wasn't necessarily going to do that. I was completely fine with ending it. It's not that serious. It's something that I enjoy, but like defined by it. And so I did end up running a little bit into the early period of second child being part of the family, but eventually caught up. I thought, well, it doesn't really matter. It's fine. I'll just stop. If it's something that's your life routine, not like just an activity, I went a period of time where I wasn't doing it, but I was still kind of working out a little bit. Like running streak, it became a non-running streak of like, oh man, I didn't do it again. And so eventually, after a couple months, came back on the streak a approach of things. And I just think for me, it's just me consistent by doing that, even if it's just a couple minutes out of the day. I think it's something that goes beyond, again, more than just running. It's just like that grounding part of my life routine. I think that's a wandering journey into me. I don't know if I answered it well.
Before I started running, being a mom and worrying about my kids and life in general, I would think a lot about unhelpful things always going through my head. I don't know, anxiety and just being overwhelmed with all the things I needed to do. Weirdly, by adding running into my life, I have to manage my priorities. Everybody has things to get done in the day and people are relying on them, but running has not made my life worse, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Somehow I have been able to put it in and that it hasn't like taken away from what I need to do in my life. And now it's kind of become a constant in terms of, well, first of all, I don't struggle with those anxieties anymore. I don't know what it has done to my brain, whether it's just focusing on listening to music or in time to clear my head and think about my stride or this is what I'm doing right now or how am I feeling within my body. And so I feel like that's been really helpful now on the day-to-day basis. When I'm struggling with something, I'll go for a run. It helps to put things in perspective. I pretty much always come back from a run feeling level-headed and understanding the situation or just feeling more comfortable with what's going on. I can handle this. And then weirdly, so this year I kind of made it an unofficial goal to do those silly little, workout recap videos on my story. I was going through a hard time with my son and the school. And anyway, I had a meeting and it was kind of rough. And so I just recorded a video in the car of my own self talking about it. And then instantly I was like, wait, this isn't actually that bad. Everything is fine. I'm going to be fine. And so I think in some ways that was like a lesson to me of how important it is to have that outlet to, in a way, journal. I think running and actually talking through out loud, almost with yourself, those things that we struggle with in life, that it just makes it a lot easier.
I would say another thing I learned from Val was how her working out makes her a better parent, in that, if we all experience life stress, whatever you want to call it, if you have no outlet, whether it's running, riding, at the gym, whatever it is, walking, journaling, you just have to have some sort of outlet and the outlet that works for you. She was spot on about that. And I know there are times where my wife's like, you didn't run today, you just need to get outside. And she's very politely reminding me that I'm probably not the most enjoyable person in the house and you should probably remove me from the situation. Find whatever that is, and it helps with all the other stuff you're dealing with.
Do you think when we run, it gives you space to breathe with whatever is happening in our life?
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely gives you at least an outlet. You're probably not be able to change whatever, and maybe that's indicative of what it is you're facing. I talk to my family, the kids I coach, about controlling what you can control, and that's about the sport, but also not about the sport. And it's really important there's a lot of things that you have no impact over. Having awareness of that in a way can be comforting, and then you controlling what you can control as well.
I love that you said that, Bobby. Running teaches you, I'm not a patient person by nature, but running has taught me to be patient. And I feel that really helps with, you can only control what you can control. You can only run as fast as you can fitness wise, or you can't sign up for a marathon and then expect to just be able to go run it. You have to just live your life, do the things that you're supposed to do, and then you'll get through it. And so I think that's so many times I feel with running and fitness, it's just such a metaphor for life. I learned so many things. It's like practicing in a safe area that translates into normal life. One thing that I've learned too is the value, along with just control what you can control, and then also the value of realizing where you are and that that's okay, and that you just need to do what you can, even if that's just a little bit. Over time, that adds up, and it's cool.
And during this time, what did you learn about yourself when you're running, when things are difficult? What did you learn about yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, one thing that I've learned about myself is that I am stronger and like braver and able to do more than I thought that I could. So that's a really cool feeling. And then also that just how I can be consistent, I can stick with something. So I appreciate that running has taught me that.
Yeah, for me, acceptance of failure comes more easily as you do things more. You're not always going to PR, you're not always going to improve, and you can respond to that in two ways. Again, talking through like what you can control versus what you can't control. Maybe during a race you could have controlled something better and tactically you just made an error, or maybe for whatever reason you weren't able to do the goal that you stated, and that could be okay too. But how you respond to that is really important. And so I know for me, I would probably take not trying a lot harder if the younger version of me than now, but maybe I'm also more aware that I'm getting older. I probably shouldn't be praying as much as I used to, or else I did something wrong when I was younger. This year I set goals for myself. I had a couple spring races and I came up short in both of those races, and it's fine. I took an aggressive swing. I came close, and that's okay. There's going to be another race on the schedule, and if I set a goal, I meet it, great. If I don't, as long as I was comfortable with the effort I put forth. That's really important. When you reflect, did you do all you could? Then for whatever reason it wasn't for you, don't be discouraged. Don't throw away the work you put into getting to at least take the attempt, and move on.
When you train for something and you don't have control over things, right? Because anything could happen during the race day, the temperature, you might get injured or whatever. So for you, how do you handle the setback in that situation where you train for months, you are hyped up for this race or this run or whatever, and you go into the thing and then you just see those fall short?
You go first.
You can go.
Being realistic in looking at the outcome and analyzing what contributed to the shortcoming. So I'll just give a practical example. I ran the Rock and Roll Half Marathon in March 15th, I think it was. And I set, for me anyway, a fairly aggressive goal of 1 hour, 30 minutes, a finish time. Overall course was tough. The second half was tough. The first half was around the National Mall, if anyone's familiar with Washington, D.C. It's fairly flat, a lot of monuments, open space, fairly straight, not a lot of turns or bottleneck areas. My first half of the race went absolutely according to plan. I knew of a hill that was fairly significant in the later half, and so for me, I was, as going back through the race itself, I was ahead of the 1 hour, 30-minute pacers until the hill, and then they were steadily ascending the hill, and I was just losing ground. And I thought, okay, that's fine. Like, don't burn yourself out, recover a little energy, see what happens at the end. I just didn't have that kick. I tend to be a decent finisher in races, but didn't have it. Thinking back to my training, I was pretty honest with myself that I skipped a lot of speed workouts. Winter in Pennsylvania isn't always sunny like Southern California, so I knew that was definitely a deficiency. Also, long runs. Again, winter's not always the most enjoyable time to run. I mean, I actually like snowy runs, but I didn't do a lot of super long runs, so I knew that I was close. Garmin was predicting I was in spitting distance, but it didn't come to fruition. So That was a minute and change off my goal. Still a really awesome time. It's okay to fail. Good learning opportunity to see where you are and where you came up short. And B, just again, as I talked about just now, like just going through like what maybe could I've done differently. The ability to reflect honestly with yourself. Don't sugarcoat it. Just be real. You'll have a better opportunity to learn from it.
I love that. For me, too, the most important thing to remember, and something that I try to definitely instill and teach with my kids, is that I'm okay if they make mistakes or they totally mess up and fail. That's part of life. What I want them to do is learn from it, improve, or gain something from that failure or that setback. I don't know if I have a scientific mind, but I like doing little experiments with myself in my training and trying things and being, okay, that totally works. If you come at life and running with that same curiosity, failure is just a way for you to learn. It's input in your charts of, okay, this didn't work. I need to tweak it, or I need to change something, or this did work. I want to move forward with that. In some ways, that makes it easier. Sometimes things are out of your control. I've trained so hard for something and then get sick before the race or some other thing. And it's like, oh man, how could this happen? That's the worst. Did I not take good care enough of myself? Or if the weather's bad, or if you just ended up, I'm not racing very often, but I usually have a goal in mind when you come up short. That can feel rough, but like Bobby said, put your best effort into it, and you should always feel proud of the effort.
And I'll just really quickly
think
I think it's a really good lesson for kids to see you fail and see how you respond. My son was in baseball, his favorite sport, and I admire him because baseball, I think, is the toughest sport to play because you fail so often at it. And so you have so many opportunities to react. It's easy for the parent to say, it's okay, just move on. But do we, as adults who are maybe more fully developed mentally, are we always moving on? Maybe, maybe not. But I think that's just a really good lesson for us as the people trying to help our children get better at life. The sport is secondary. My goal is to have fun. So many lessons from the sport apply outside the sport. I'm super focused on developing that side of things because that's going to serve him well in life. And so I think that's really important. What Val said, and wanted to echo that.
Well, and I would say going off of that too, because it's been interesting because my son's in baseball too. And those poor kids, it's so much pressure on them and they break down a lot. And I think there's a reason why there's that term, there's no crying in baseball. Kids are like, really, they care so much. And there's, like you said, there's so many ways that you can fail. You don't catch the ball, you're not pitching well enough, you feel you're letting your whole team down. In high school, I was on the dive team for my junior and senior year, and it was so much fun, but I feel so grateful for my coach because he would always say, there's no crying in baseball, but in diving, you can cry as much as you want. Because if, you don't hit the dive well and it hurts literally sometimes, it's valuable to teach our kids and ourselves to deal with that pressure and that, like, when we make mistakes or, but then also that it is okay to feel those feelings, which I feel like I actually really have struggled with. And my kids have taught me a lot in life is that when things are hard and we have emotional reactions, that's okay. But we don't need to put more energy into it. We can move forward and have that growth mindset.
I need to learn from you is to be okay when there's failure because I am very competitive with myself and I want to do my best, but sometimes you have no control over things. And I put myself in so much pressure. Whenever I'm running a marathon too, I was trying to PB and there is no fun run for me when I do marathons because it's always things. That's why I was like, I think I'm gonna do ultra running because it's more about the journey. Nobody cares about the pace. I don't have to be so bundle up on it. So now I'm enjoying running more and I'm okay walking too because I did a hilly route today, looped like 3 times, walked, and I was totally completely okay with it. Before I was like, nope, I have to run no matter how hard it is. I'm trying to learn and I think I need to embrace what you guys says that it is okay fine to have failures, but the way we react, or we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves. I'll keep that in mind. Is running part of your identity or something you do? How do you define that line?
I'll go first. When I started running and then I created my Instagram account and I was like, oh my gosh, these people are, why are they talking about tapers? This is so like weird. I don't know what's going on, you know? And I felt really a lot, man, these people are all in. Maybe they need to chill out a little bit. And then over the last 5 years or so, I have totally joined the cult of runner. It's good to have something you think of when you think of yourself. You're a runner. I'm not a psychologist, but a runner is someone good at enduring and cares about their health. People think of runners as chill or more relaxed, or I don't know. Those are the things that I feel like I think about long distance runners. And so I think that is definitely the positive parts of it. But also, just with anything in life, I think it's important to keep in mind that there might come a day, or hopefully not, but there might come a time where that is not something that you can do. And whether you get injured or who knows what, and to always be open, I guess, to that running is not the only thing that defines you, that you can be a cool, chill person that endures and has that mindset and is positive. That doesn't mean that you are a runner. And then also, I love the idea of on Instagram, I feel a lot of people, if you run, then you're a runner. And I feel like there's this idea sometimes in our heads of like, oh, runners are only the people that qualify for Boston, or they're running so many miles every week. But if you want to call yourself a runner because you run once a week for a mile, do it. If you identify with that and that makes you feel like that's who you are, then yeah, you're a runner no matter what. For sure.
I would say is a part of me, but it doesn't define me. It's part of my routine every day, but it's not the only thing. Like Ash said, I've got a family, I'm doing a PhD program. It's just one part of me, and it's important to me right now. But as Val said, if for whatever reason I couldn't run, still have a lot of other things that would still fill my cup. I think it's important to not lose sight of that. I am also a full proponent of everyone's a runner. I've never judged anyone else. One household phrase we use is don't yuck someone else's yum. If it makes you happy and you're not hurting other people, then I'm all for it. You know, if it's like Val said, if you run once a week, cool. More than 0 times per week, and I don't think there's a qualifier in my definition of what running is. Not speed, not frequency. Hey, if you run once a year and you call yourself a runner, that's great. One of the positives of the Instagram running scene is that inclusivity.
In the topic, what happens if you can't run? Who are you then?
Bob?
I feel like running is cool, but it's not everything.
I concur. Hi, Bobby. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
We talked about this before, but does being a runner and having this mindset of not giving up and being resilient and everything, does this show up in other part of your life too?
Yeah, I would say so. It definitely helps other aspects of my life more positively, for sure. Having that outlet, good to get it out.
I feel knowing when you do something big, a marathon or ultra marathon, you get that high and it lasts for a while. But I feel like it definitely transfers over to, especially I'll be doing something, even if it's like something little, and I'm like, oh, these dishes, I don't even want to do them, or these piles of laundry, or, you know, whatever it is that I have to do. And I'm like, but you know what? I ran a marathon. If I can keep on running forever and ever for no reason and I'm dumb, I can do the dishes. It definitely transfers over. Once I got into trail running, going out by myself as a woman on a trail all by myself, and I'm figuring out where I want to go and try not to get lost. And I feel like that has transferred a lot of power, strength, and courage to just normal life too, where it's like, I'm not going on really scary trails or anything. Like, I feel pretty much safe. One time I saw a coyote, but I'm not putting myself in super dangerous situations. It has transferred into my life, feeling strength and power. I can go run this super tons of elevation 50K. I can do anything that I set my mind to. And that's a cool feeling. I feel grateful for running that's given me that.
That's beautiful. You guys are awesome. If we all are running together, then if we can just run a race or a route, where would that be and what would you hope to get out of it?
Well, I'll start. I'll let Val take a second to think. I've often joked with friends. I saw this somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but where there was this running tour guide. You would go wherever. It was a nice place in Europe. I don't remember where exactly. And I thought, well, that's a really good idea. I don't think anyone is coming to my part of Pennsylvania for a running tour, but I just think it would be really cool to go somewhere. And because I think there's such utility in running through new locations. So I often on vacation, I always run. I like to run ahead before we do anything because fast enough that you can make fairly decent work of it, but slow enough that you can still take in the things versus like if you're driving or riding in a taxi. So I think that would be a really cool way to experience something new. But if I were to pick somewhere, I think I'm going to give Val a lob, and I think I will pick Paris because I feel like she could tell us some cool stuff since she was there recently.
Yeah, totally. I'd run in Paris with all of you. Let's go. When are we going to go? I actually really love, though, that you talked about like kind of a running tour guide because I'm the same. Oftentimes, my runs when I'm on vacation, especially with my husband, we're stopping, taking pictures, scoping it out. It's faster than walking, so you cover more ground, but it's way cooler than driving. It's the perfect speed to explore an area. And so that's a really good idea. Maybe you should start a business.
You'll be
I'll
my
be
hype
your first
person.
client. So will Ash. I already agreed for you. We'll go. The only really race I've run with friends was actually the Philadelphia Marathon. It was so cold that day. There was ice on the water cups. I pretty much froze myself to death, but we still talk about it and we had so much fun. Races are fun, but it's more about like who you're going with. And whenever I've had the opportunity to meet like Instagram friends or regular friends and we go for a run, it's not about the pace. You want to run slow enough that you can just chit chat and have fun. And like you said, you get to know people on a deeper level. It's such a kind of with the tour guide idea, it really is just like a great way to, because sometimes it's like, oh, well, let's go meet up at this coffee shop or whatever. And it's like, okay, all we're doing is talking. This is a bit much for me. Whereas if you're running, you're kind of busy. You're sometimes out of breath and you're like, okay, you talk a little bit more because I can't. But then you're like, let's slow down. We're getting ahead of ourselves because you get all hyped up. Anyway, maybe that's just me. So I think that that's really cool. But I would like to put a little plug that I am running the Marine Corps Marathon in April. And I've decided everybody that I know should go run it with me because it's fun. Even if we don't run it together, we can talk about eating carbs. Go get dinners. Runner friends are the best kinds of friends.
They are, because there is so much in common and you can't stop talking about anything else. We just keep talking about it. Bobby, that's a good idea. Whenever I'm on vacation, I try to go and at least see what is out there. I go back to the same place again, but I like to see things before it gets crowded and it's so much nicer and peaceful. That way you can enjoy it more. And I also try to run wherever I go. At least I ran
I
there.
agree.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the city is so different in like, where you're exploring if you get out early before everything.
Yeah, I
It's
did.
really cool.
So I mentioned the rock and roll in DC. I ran the race, and then the next morning, the little woke up early, so I threw her in the stroller so the other two could sleep in the hotel. And what was supposed to be a short run ended up I think it was like 5 or 6 miles. Day after the half marathon, it was not intended, but we got to the reflecting pool, and I'm like, well, Abraham Lincoln and I share a birthday, so I said I'm gonna run over to my friend. I wanted her to see how large he was for her as a 3-year-old to experience. Definitely wasn't the plan, but it's always good to improvise. I think it ended up being really cool. Like you said, it was super early. No one was out yet. I think it was like 6:30 in the morning. It was just a really good time. She got to experience the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the White House, and some other stuff. And she's a 3, so she doesn't have no idea what I'm talking about. But as the government nerd, it was fun to have her experience. And more importantly, it was spring in DC. Cherry blossoms were almost fully in bloom. It was a really nice time to be there.
Yeah, cherry blossom are so nice in DC. I was there and it was really nice. Val said her dreams or goals just now because she's running the Marine Corps. I don't know if that's her goal, but are there any dreams or goals you haven't said out loud?
I'll take a very aggressive swing at an ultra marathon. It's 1.5 5-mile loop for 12 hours. And I did it a couple years ago. I think in 2021 I did it. And so that year I did 36 miles. This year I'm aiming for 50 or 52 miles. And I am not trained at all for it, but we'll see what happens. I have 12 hours. So either I'll hit it or I won't, and we'll be
You're a
fine, right?
beast.
So yeah, that's probably my aggressive goal. I guess I just put it out in the world on podcast.
Is this the one with your goddaughter
Yeah,
last time? I
as
believe
long
in
as
you.
you're
Let's
me.
go.
Yeah, that's amazing and impressive. People that can run an ultramarathon. I think you probably
We'll
have
see.
some
I
pretty
don't know.
good genes and a lot of hard work and years put into that. I go to a physical therapist once a month, and that's like the one thing that she like always says. She's like, "Yeah, I really appreciate, because I do a lot running in the past. It's like, oh yeah, Bobby's just gonna run 50 miles without training, but that's not actually
Yeah.
true. You've been putting in the work for years and years, and maybe you might not be the winner or something."
The
Or
race
who
with
knows, maybe
myself,
you
yeah.
will.
Yeah, I can't imagine you said you're gonna run the ultra marathon 50 mile in 2 weeks because I'm training for a ultra marathon and it is in August and the elevation is so high. I didn't realize it when I'm signing. So it's like 650 meters to 950 meters. So it's way intense than I thought it was. And now I am having to run all those hills and it's so hard. I went today. It was fun. It is fun. But God, I wish I can be like you. We can just go and run like a 50 miler. It's just a 50 mile. It's nothing more.
It's called power hiking, Ash. You'll ultra marathoners that go uphill a lot of
And in
walking
fairness, mine
marathon.
has like no elevation. It's a loop, so it's around and around and around.
I feel
Yeah.
like in some ways that's harder though. I've done a few really hilly races and they'll change in muscles of going uphill and running downhills. Even if you can run up and down, I feel like the flat, consistent takes a different toll on your body than ultra marathons with elevation.
It's hard because you have to continuously run. If there is no hills,
Yeah.
then there is no excuse
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
walk.
yeah.
So yeah, I walked today and I was fine with it. Like I said, being a road runner, walking is like very different kind of mindset because we never really walk when we were running on the road. So now I'm just like, okay, it is okay. It was nice.
Yeah, there's a reason on Strava where it hides your pace. Like
Oh.
it puts your elevation and doesn't put your pace. Because everybody slows down. Hills are hard.
It's hard.
Bobby.
I walk the hills. It's okay.
If you are to give a gift to each other, what kind of run would you give?
I would gift you a beautiful trail run because I think, number one, it's kind to your body, but I also think it's good for your soul. You seem to really enjoy trail running. So that would be the gift that I give you.
Well, thank you very much, Bobby. I've never been given that before. Well, I would say I think that you get actually a lot of joy. This is just my perspective, but a lot of joy from stroller runs with your kids. And so I think that I would gift you like a perfect day where you have all the snacks and everybody's happy and that you get to like enjoy that with your kids. So that's what I
Roller
would
runs are
gift you.
fun. And I also, I think, not to get super sentimental, but I also recognize there's a short shelf life on when they're enjoyable for both of you. Anytime that there's a willing person going in a stroller, that's a win for me. Hangry kids are also add a value in pushing yourself to limits you didn't know about because you got to get. There's been many runs where I had to adjust my route to incorporate a gas station or something to get something for the kid. Thank God they take Apple Pay, right?
Thank God for Apple Pay.
Yeah.
So,
I always put like a bill like behind my phone. So I always carry money just in case. Sometimes they don't take a card. It works out. I have one question for both of you. I didn't send you this, so it's going to be interesting. When you look back years from now, what do you hope running will have meant in the story of your life?
I'll go first, only because I actually talk about this a lot with my family. One of the reasons I run so often is that if my kids have kids, or even if they're adults, I want to be able to keep up with them. And so investing in my health and wellness now, I think will allow me to be an active parent or grandparent. Again, I'm not, whatever my kids do, they do. I'm happy to support that. But, if they have children and they trust me to take care of them or, do whatever, I want to be able to run around or chase them, push them, pull them, throw them, whatever it is. I want to be able to do that. So big part of why I do what I do now.
yeah, I definitely agree with Bobby and feel like like running has always been for the long haul. Everything I'm doing it so I can continue for as long as I possibly can. And so I guess that I would hope that I will be able to. I'm lucky enough, somehow got adopted by a cycling club. They also run on the track. It's a lot of retired older people I meet on Wednesdays at the track. There's one guy that he's in his 80s, running, doing triathlons, doing it all. He always says, I do what I can. His training has changed, but he's still doing it. He's there. I'm only 40. I'm at the track running around. He's putting in the work like I am. To see other members of our track club when they're 60s, the energy they have, enthusiasm for life, the feeling I get from them is incredible. I hope I can continue that way for my family, the people around me, myself, and my children. That would be my hope.
Exactly. Those are nice words. I think this was a good conversation, and we just didn't talk about the running, but we talked about heart. Before we go, let's say a word or feeling that describes how running fits into your life today.
That's a tricky question. So you're asking one word that I would like describe running like today. What you're kind of saying?
Could be multiple
Yeah.
words.
Say,
Yeah.
okay. I feel so much gratitude and I'm so lucky. Just being grateful I'm able to do it.
I think content. I'm fortunate to be able to do it still. And whatever it is, I can have the ability to fit it into life, whatever else is going on. Content would be my word to drive it.
All right. I think that is the wrap. And thank you, Bobby and Val. Like I said, you guys inspired me in different ways. And I am always looking forward to your runs and whatever you post on Instagram. And I am lucky that we can do this together. Even though we don't run together, we still run in some ways, right? So, yeah. And I'm thankful that we can share the mic and we can relate to each other and have different conversations about life and running and everything. So, yeah. And thank you for that. And to everybody listening to, I hope you took something from this podcast or from this episode, and then you can enjoy your run, lace up, and then just have fun.
Thank you, Ash. Bobby, it's been fun to actually talk to you. And I think you're both great. Thanks for letting me come on. It's always like the best.
Yeah.
So
I would echo thank you. Thank you both. It's been fun being able to spend some time together today. And I echo what Ash said. Look forward to continuing to follow what you're doing out in the wild, wild west of Instagram and getting your updates and supporting you from afar.
Thank you, guys, and have a good evening or good afternoon. Good night. No, it's not good night.
Good.
it's all
Good
of it.
day.
It's
It's all of it.
amazing. Yes, good day.
Alrighty. Hey everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the podcast. I hope you really enjoy this conversation. I'll see you again next time with another guest. Until then, happy running.